Hey everybody, Logan here. Finally back, and yeah, I could not figure out for the life of me what the next video was going to be. I was playing around with a bunch of Sega stuff, as you guys may have seen if you follow us on Instagram, posted a few photos. I decided, yeah, I'm going to do this out of order. I decided I'm going to start with the Sega Saturn. The Sega Saturn is something that I always wanted when I was younger. And the day when I went to go buy my Sega Saturn, because I always had Nintendo everything growing up, and I saw the commercials for the Sega Saturn, and it came with the three games. I think it was at that time it was Daytona USA, World Series Baseball, and something else. I want to say Virtua Fighter. So, or maybe it was Sega Rally. It's a long time ago. 25 years. I think it was about. I went to get mine in. I want to say 98 or 99. I think it was 99. So it had been out for about 4 years. I want to say 3.5, 4 years before the Dreamcast was announced. Wasn't out. Sorry about that. I went to head to the Babbage's in the my local mall, and I went to go get it. I saved up and I saved up and I saved up, and I went to go buy it. And the guy at Babbage's talked me into getting a PlayStation. I was proposed the question the other day when I was telling the story. Do I regret it? Yes and no. Why? Because who knows what collection of games I could have had by now, what games I could have experienced. But then again, I think about it, and I think about all the games that I might have missed if I didn't have the PlayStation. I didn't get. I wouldn't have had Final Fantasy VII. Wouldn't have had Tony Hawk. I wouldn't have had Parasite Eve. So many great games. Those, just to name a few, those were some of my favorites. And yeah, because I always had the Nintendo 64. That I never worried about. But I wasn't one of those that if I bought a second system, that was a big purchase because I bought it myself. And I was pretty young at that time. I was high school. I was, I think, 16, 15, 16 when I bought it. So, yeah. So that's my little story on the Sega Saturn. And then finally I got one maybe 10 years later, 2008, 2009, finally got one. And yeah, and I ended up having to sell it because I ran into some hard times. I sold a lot of my consoles and a lot of my stuff. Really regret it. Gave some of the games to one of my best friends at the time. Gave him Nights into Dreams and something else. I can't remember. But I would say about a year or so ago, I finally got another Sega Saturn. I have it sitting right here. It's connected. As you can see, the frame. That's the Sega Saturn menu. So I decided to wait and do this video after an order I made came in that had the what is called. I had no clue that these things existed. And there's the Action Replay, and then there was this one. And the reason I bought this one, even though the Action Replay is the one that's the name brand, because this was black. That is the Ultra Madness ST key for use with Sega Saturn. So, yeah. So I got this one because it matched the Saturn, where the Action Replay was gray. And that was the only reason. I think, well, if I had the Japanese Sega Saturn, but then again, there wouldn't be a reason for me to, well, I digress. So, pop this into the, well, once we start the games. Right now, I'll go through a couple of games that I just got. So, I bought 5 Japanese Sega Saturn games. in just a moment. We'll go over those a little more. So I bought those and that. And like I said, in just a second, we'll go over and I'll give you more of an in-depth look at these things. I have the original Sega Saturn controller. Now, mine didn't come with it. I do have the box for the Sega Saturn, but it's up on a shelf way up there. I actually have, when I got my Sega Saturn, how did a hair get into it? You ever wonder how hairs get into things like that? When I got my Sega Saturn, it came with the version 2 controller. Oop, version 2. I have 2 of those. And that crazy thing, look at that. That is the precursor to the Dreamcast controller. And outside of those Japanese games, my system was a box system, and it came with demo disc, Virtual Cop Daytona USA, and Virtua Fighter. So we'll take a look at those a little more. And then it's actually almost been a year. July was a year ago. So I bought this a little more than a year, about a year and a half. And that's Street Fighter, the movie, the video game. I remember playing this in the arcade at a place called Grand Prix Racerama down here in South Florida, which sadly no longer exists. It wasn't good. But I guess I had such bad memories of it. I popped this into my Saturn for the first time a couple days ago, and this is not that bad of a game. It could be worse. It could be much worse. But maybe I'll do a gameplay video on this just for shits and giggles later on. But yeah, it's not that bad. So, without further ado, let's take a look at all this good stuff.
Welcome to Red Bandana Gaming, the channel where Logan will show you everything from gameplay to gear. Their crew is here to take you on a journey through every atmosphere. Releases to news, you don't have to choose. Red Bandana Gaming is here for you.
Hey, buddy. Look at all the Sega mess and controllers and... Can you hear that? Yeah, you can't see it, but that's the menu. That's the sound the menu makes. Let's put that down there. So, as you can see, this one's plugged in. Let me turn this off so nothing crazy happens. But this is my Sega Saturn. Let's move the games right over here. Let's get this baby into the frame a little better. That's my Sega Saturn. Very good condition. You know, I'm really happy to have this. This is that one system that escaped me back when I was young. And I really wish I had, but like I said, it was always a Nintendo kid growing up. Had the NES, Super NES, Nintendo 64, so on. My first Sega console was actually my Game Gear, which I'm going to do a whole video on that too, because I love my Game Gear. I still have it, still have all my original games, and it still works. But we're not talking about the Game Gear right now, we're talking about the Saturn. Let's start with some of the games. This was the demo that came with it, and we're going to start with the US ones first. It's funny that they called it a bootleg. You know what? I was playing this the other day, and I was thinking, you know what? It would be really fun to do a video based on this. But the video quality on here, whew. So I did buy a special cable for it, which I'll show you in a moment, to hopefully make things look a little better. But that's the Saturn Bootleg 2. What's the date on this one? Does it have a date? 97, so this is probably 96. 1996. I was already well into my Nintendo 64. because that's the year. Yeah, I think I got it for. I want to say it was my birthday in '96. I'm old, so the demos. These are the ones that came with it. I wish I had the ones that had the boxes, but this is still pretty cool because these are, like I said, the ones that came in the box. The 3 games that came with it, and that was nuts to get a console with 3 games back in the day. And as you can see, they're still in very good condition for something around 25 years old. And to think about it, shoot. Wow, 95, 96, 24, but... Now, I don't have the gun for this one. This plays really weird without a gun. One of my favorite games. I love Daytona. Okay. But that song is iconic, and then I used to play this quite a bit in the arcade, and then when it came out on the Dreamcast, it was one of the first games I got on my Dreamcast. And like I said, we were going to take a closer look at Street Fighter, the movie, the video game. Digitized graphics from the hit movie, Capcom, published by Acclaim. I always found that really weird. Now, the only thing is this version... this is the long box. All the other games I have are in the regular CD cases. As you can see, it's a little yellowed. It has a sticker. I'm not sure. From 2014, 619. I don't know what store this came from, but I picked it up at my local CD trader. He had 2. I sent him a message saying, hold one for me. I didn't know he had 2. And the other one was in really good condition. He's like, once I got there, I was like, do you have it for me? And he's like, have what? No. And then I told him, he's like, well, I have another one. It's not in the greatest of condition, so he gave it to me for less. But you know what? I had this on the original PlayStation back in the day. I remember playing it on my original PlayStation. I just didn't remember the quality of the game, but it wasn't that bad. So let's put those to the side. Controller. Now, this is that key that I said. Like I said, I got it. It's weird. It doesn't have a sticker on the back. I got it mainly because ST key universal adapter. The ST key adapter is designed to allow your US Saturn to play imported software. In no way is it designed to translate Japanese or any other language, and it tells you how to do it. So the thing is with this one, it was significantly cheaper than the Action Replay, but from my understanding, I think the Action Replay was the 4 megabit expansion pack as well. This is just the import enabler. So I think it was around $20. So I was like, okay, that's cool. The other one was twice the price. I might pick up that later on, but as of right now, I didn't need it. So, and it was black, so it matched. I was like, okay. Now, the Japanese games that I picked up, that I ordered, if I'm not mistaken, this is Fire Pro Wrestling, Blazing Tornado. I think it was a Fire Pro Wrestling. But I find it weird that they just have regular CD cases. This is the book. Nothing here like, all of our US ones have clear see-through, and you're like, oh, you can see more art and everything. And I was like, did they just replace them? And I'm looking at them. Nope. It's just clear artwork. And the discs are in very good condition. I ordered these from eStarland. That's where I get a lot of my retro and imports. If I can't get them down here through CD Trader, and it's really hard to get a lot of them right now during quarantine. So through quarantine, they're the best place to get them, and they're rather inexpensive. Most of these games are less than $10. Why does this not want to close? There we go. Let me not break the case. Now the next one, it was very inexpensive. I think it was around less than $10, maybe $8. It's called Gotha 2. I looked it up, and it's a shooter. Nothing I bought couldn't be played pretty easily. No RPG stuff like that. Shooters and fighting games. You'll see. The only thing that I looked up, this is complete. 1 disc. And then the second one no disc, but it's apparently a 1-disc game. I couldn't find anything that said it was 2 discs. Was it a soundtrack or something? If you guys know any more about this, if it is missing anything, drop it in the comments below. Let me know. But I think I paid like $8 for that one. These three, I'm really happy that I was able to get these three. The next one is one of my favorite Sega games, and I have the Japanese. No, it's it's the American one for the Dreamcast. It is the North American release, and that's Virtual On. Oh, I love mech games. I like mech. I love Mech Assault. Love games like Astral Chain and stuff like that have Astral Chain. Daemon X Machina for the Switch. Anything with giant mechs, freaking awesome. And now, see, this one's clear. I don't know. I've not really dabbled into import Sega Saturn or anything like that. So maybe if you guys know or can give me a little history or a place where I can find a little history on it, drop it in the comments, like I said. But awesome. Next one. Fabooey. Yeah, you're like, hold still, I can't see it. Vampire Hunter, which is Darkstalkers over here. And I saw this. This was the most expensive one. This was like $20. And I had to snatch this sucker up. Now that I know I can play it on my Saturn. Oh, man. I was like, man. But look at the printing. I was like, that's kind of a low res, but I guess they don't really care in Japan. This one I'm definitely going to do a video on. Cannot wait. Cannot wait. Cannot wait. And then finally, for the games, I got Street Fighter Zero, which is Street Fighter Alpha here. Not Street Fighter Alpha here, because that would just be weird. But it's Street Fighter Alpha in North America. Yeah? Yeah? Chun-Li. Ken and Ryu. Can't wait to play this sucker. Look at that. Only 2 screenshots. I don't know. I find it a little interesting looking at all the imports and the Japanese games and seeing how they do theirs. And, looking at the, I guess you could say the import Nintendo 64 and PS3 and PS4 and, PSP, whatnot. Those are a lot of Japanese games that I have. Super Famicom. Oh my God, the boxes are so different. The way they print their artwork and everything is just, it's really cool. Very different than what I'm used to. Next. Whoa, don't fall. Don't. That thing. Yeah, I have the box for this. This I got at Retro Game Store in Orlando called Gamers Inc. Can't remember if this was in one of the pickup videos, but this thing's pretty cool. This was actually kind of expensive, though. It was a $50 controller, but I had to get it. And it's in very, 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 very good condition. Like, it's such an odd shape. Believe it or not, it's very rigid, but it's actually comfortable. The only thing that it weirds me out is it's round here, but then does this weird little lip thing when they could have... I don't know. And the D-pad is very different texture. I don't know if you can even see it. You can see the different texture. That's smooth. This has like a rough texture. Big start button. Even the buttons are different. These are like the little round pebble looking things. Well, these are the concave. We got concave, convex. These are flat things. These are all the same. So very odd. But the weirdest thing is if you look right up here, I don't get it. Yeah. Maybe it's for an accessory. I don't know. But, yeah. So, very weird stick. Very loosey-goosey. I remember playing with something similar to this when I went to Innoventions. Probably, I want to say it was around 95. Maybe 94. It was before the Saturn came out, and they had something very similar It was like a cross between that one and this one. And it looked like I was playing a Saturn. I was playing Sonic R. Well, what we now know as Sonic R. And I have very vivid memory of this, and it was really cool. And it was a bunch of Sega games back then at Epcot. So if you guys have any photos or any memories or thoughts or any experiences from back then, please let me know or share them on our Facebook or our Instagram at Red Bandana Gaming. And if you've made it this far in the video, hit that subscribe button. Helps that right at the bottom. But let's continue. As you can see, I got another standard controller. Now, I got two of the standard controllers, and then I wanted this one because this was the original one, and it's so odd compared to this one. Very different in the back, kind of bulky. And the thing is, the shoulder buttons, they press, but they don't make a noise, and that really weirds me out. I was looking for one of these, and again, Gio at CD Trade, he's like, I got one. It's not in good condition. He gave it to me like dirt cheap. But he's like, if you want it, yeah, I'll sell it to you. It was like 10, 15 bucks, because normally these are around the 30 mark as of right now. So, but it works. It's just, it's, you know, weird D-pad, very weird D-pad. And I noticed the C button was backwards, and I've tried my best to clean these things out. It's been a pain, and I've tried 3 and 4 times, but I think I'm just going to end up having to take the whole thing apart and then dip it and let them soak and whatnot, and we'll go from there. But very interesting controller, odd shape. I see why they changed it. I do like it better. I like the grips, but it's just that D-pad. This is still, I like this D-pad. I like the texture on here. This one. Now, I did order from Limited Run the wireless Saturn controller, the one that works with a switch, but also comes with a little dongle. Apparently it got delayed. Who knows? Maybe May it'll come out, but yeah, who knows? But yeah, that's my whole Sega Saturn thing. So I really, oh, there's one more thing before I forget. I got this HDMI cable. The price tag's covering it, but this was also from East Starland. I got this so it would look a little better when I connect it to the TV. Yes, because I did that because you could see that. So you can see what I'm doing it because I'm pointing the box at my TV. But you can't see that, but I can see that. It's a derp. So yeah, we're going to use that. Connect to the Saturn. Connect to the Saturn. Connect the Saturn to the HD TV. It's been a day. Yeah, it's all been a day. Another day in quarantine. Da, 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 da. Okay. So, thank you guys for watching. Next, I will probably do my Dreamcast video. And then after that, I might do the Genesis. But the Genesis, I really don't have too much for. I guess I have about the same amount of games for the Genesis that I do for the Saturn and the Dreamcast. But, yeah, thank you guys. Again, if you've made it this far, hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Head on over to Red Bandana Gaming on Facebook and Instagram. Follow us there. Like all of our stuff over there. Head on over to our Twitter at RBG_retro. And subscribe. Did I already say that? If you haven't. Or, no, well, you'll see it at the end. Hit the little orb. But thank you guys for watching. And like we always say, be legendary. Take care of yourselves. Saturn. I'll stop. So, gonna do a little extra. I decided to record this right after. The key, the ST key. We're gonna pop that in. It says to pop it in before you boot it up. So you pop it in the Saturn now. Putting in Street Fighter 0 like you saw earlier. Pop it in. Sega Saturn. ST key version 1.0. Please wait. Okay, cool. Checking disk format. And it works. It works just fine. That's the first time I've used it. And let's see how it plays. Oh, those loading screens from back in the day. Remember them? Oh. Street Fighter Zero. There we go, everybody. It works just fine. That's pretty cool. No memory expansion, but hey, I can play all my Japanese games in it. Just pop in and go. There's no reason I should be so mind blown, boggled. Look at this! Look at this! Oh, I got. Ooh, yeah. Ken. Logan. Yep. Ah. There we go. There we go. So, there you go. Just a little extra down on the end. And thanks again. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. And be legendary.